Hey guys, this is Andrew Hutchinson, your lead team reporter and baseball expert at HawgBeat.com. I just wanted to get on here and kind of recap the opening weekend of baseball season. That's right, baseball is here. We are 3 games into the 56-game regular season, so it is still early. No time to overreact or anything, but holy cow, Heston Kjerstad. What a weekend for Arkansas's preseason All-American. I kind of had a feeling that this was coming based on what I saw from him in preseason scrimmages, but I think he even exceeded my expectations. He went 7 for 12 for the weekend, 4 home runs, had a 2-run double as well, 10 RBIs. He's got a slugging percentage of 1667. That is quite simply incredible. I think it's, after the first weekend of play, I think it's 5th or 6th nationally. So that's pretty doggone good. It'll be interesting to see if he can keep that going throughout the season. I fully anticipate he will. If you read my preseason predictions on HawgBeat, you would have seen that I predicted Heston Kjerstad to be the National Player of the Year, whether that be Dick Hauser Trophy, the Golden Spikes Award. I think he has a great chance to win both of those, to join Andrew Benintendi as the only Arkansas players to do that. I really think he's going to have a big year. I think he's going to make a run at the single-season home run record at Arkansas, which is 24 by Ryan Lundquist back in 1997. And the crazy thing about that is back in the 90s, they were playing with a different kind of bat that basically, I call it the juiced bat era. Everyone was hitting home runs. That was also the year that a guy for LSU hit 40 home runs for the SEC record. So I don't think Kjerstad's going to get to 40. I don't think anyone is, especially these days with the way the game is played, with these new bats that they've been playing with for about 10 years now. But I think he's going to make a run for 25, 26. And if he gets to 26, I think 27 would break the career home runs record. He's already moved into, I believe, a tie for 7th. He's already passed guys like Kevin McReynolds, a legendary player at Arkansas, Dominic Fletcher. He's passed him. So he is off to a phenomenal start to 2020, and I expect it to keep going as the season progresses. But moving on from him, offensively, another guy that I predicted to have a breakout season. I actually called him my surprise All-SEC pick because he was a guy that didn't get any preseason love, preseason attention, but that's Christian Franklin, Arkansas's new center fielder, moved over from left. He went 5 for 12, had a home run. I was pretty excited that I finally predicted who would hit the first home run of the season. Got that one correct with Christian Franklin doing so. But he's off to a good start, hitting .417. Same batting average as a guy who I think has surprised everybody in Jacob Nesbitt. Both of those guys, Franklin and Nesbitt, were near the bottom of Arkansas's team last year in terms of batting average. They didn't hit a lot of home runs. Nesbitt in particular, I think, only had 3. He's doesn't have a home run yet, but he's got a couple of doubles, had some clutch hits for Arkansas in Saturday's game when they intentionally walked Casey Martin not once but twice in front of him, only to see Nesbitt line an RBI single into left field. So really good start for him. Another new name that Arkansas fans probably aren't really familiar with right now is Braden Webb. He's a junior college transfer from Grayson College in Texas. He put up some monster numbers in junior college, and he's already off to a really good start as the leadoff man for Arkansas. He actually scored the first run. He reached base and scored the first run of the game in the first inning, all 3 games. He did. One of those was a leadoff home run on Saturday. The other time he reached on a walk and scored, and then on Sunday he singled and scored. So again, really good start. Franklin, Webb, and then Matt Goodhart, who led the team in hitting last year, are the other guys who hit home runs over the weekend for Arkansas. Moving to the mounds, I think we got to start with the outing Connor Nolan had on Friday night or Friday afternoon. Just really dominant stuff. There was a little bit of concern. The pitching had kind of struggled a little bit in the preseason scrimmages. Part of that can be attributed to they're facing Arkansas's lineup, which could be the deepest it's ever been. So I wouldn't read too much into that. But sure enough, Connor Nolan comes out having a full preseason with baseball under his belt. He decided to focus on baseball instead of playing football in the fall, and he's added some velocity, and he just looks sharper. I mean, he went out there. I think Dave Van Horn said his pitch limit was going to be 70 to 75 pitches, but he went out there and threw, I think he finished at 86, 87, something like that. He went well over the limit, went 6 2/3, probably could have gone 7. I think there was an error in the inning that maybe extended it to keep it where he couldn't get the full 7. But on an opening weekend, that is a very good start. If you look across the SEC, even the aces for all the teams are only going about 5 or 6 innings. So to get him almost through 7 was impressive. Not only that, but he also had 11 strikeouts, a career high, surpassed the 10 that he had against Tennessee last year as a true freshman. So off to a really good start on the mound. Not quite as effective, but still solid, was Patrick Wicklander, the lefty, another sophomore. He went 5 innings, gave up 3 hits, struck out 7. He kind of had to battle a little bit, but that's kind of what Dave Van Horn said he had struggled with during the preseason scrimmages. Is his pitch count got up. He would get behind in the counts, 3-1, 2-0, things like that. And usually he'll battle back. He doesn't hadn't really walked a ton, but he's just kind of had to battle. But when he's throwing strikes and when he's efficient, he's very, very hard to hit. He had I think a 4.3 ERA last year, but opponents only hit like 206, 209 against him. It was almost the identical opposing batting average that Isaiah Campbell had last year. So pretty high expectations for him. Pretty good 1-2 punch with Nolan Wicklander. Not a bad start. Obviously, Eastern Illinois is not exactly high quality competition, but they do have a pretty good lineup. I mean, last year they hit almost 300 as a team. We're right up there in top 50, I want to say, in batting average in the country. Had a bunch of those guys returning in terms of top batting average guys, and Arkansas did a really good job of holding them down. The third guy getting the start on the weekend was Blake Adams, a freshman from Springdale Harbor. He's a guy that had a lot of success in high school, Gatorade Player of the Year. He helped Harbor reach the state championship all 3 years in high school, and he went out and won that Game 3's starting job ahead of a couple of veterans, like Cole Ramage, Kevin Copps. Those guys ended up coming out of the bullpen. And Blake Adams, he didn't necessarily have the best outing. He gave up a couple of runs, only went 3 innings, so by far the shortest outing of the 3 starters. Only had 2 strikeouts, gave up 6 hits, so they were hitting him really well. But I will say, if you're looking for a silver lining for Blake Adams, look at what he did in the 3rd inning. He got the first out quickly, then gave up 4 straight hits. The 3rd hit was an RBI single. That made it 5-3. Then he gave up another hit, or 5-2, gave up another hit. That loaded the bases. So the tying run was on base with 1 out. And he's facing a guy in the middle of the Eastern Illinois order, and he threw a really good breaking ball, got the hitter to ground out to the shortstop, and Martin, Casey Martin started the double play to Robert Moore, the 17-year-old, and they completed it to Cole Austin at first for a 6-4-3 inning double play to really limit the damage. So just a pretty good ending to a kind of a tough first start, but hey, he's a freshman. He's going to battle through some stuff. I mean, if you remember last year, Patrick Wicklander and Connor Nolan both had some tough outings like that, and even at the end of the year, their ERAs were over 4. So, I'm not expecting Blake Adams to come in and have a sub-3 ERA or, even hold that starting job the entire year. But I do anticipate him to have some good outings and be a solid contributor for Arkansas this year on the mound. It'll be interesting to see how he kind of develops. As far as bullpen guys go, I was really encouraged by what I saw from Caleb Bolden. It was his first outing since 2018. He missed all of last year with Tommy John surgery. He went 3 innings and didn't give up any runs. He did give up 3 hits, all of them doubles, one of which probably could have been caught by Heston Kjerstad as he kind of crashed into the wall out and right. Would have been a tough play. Can't give him an error on it, but it was a play that say a Dominic Fletcher last year or even a Christian Franklin this year probably would have made the play out in center field. But luckily, he worked around that. I think he gave up at least one of those was a leadoff double, maybe two of them. Worked around them and didn't let it hurt him. So really encouraging. He threw, I think, 45 pitches across those 3 innings. So pretty solid first game back. Sometimes when you're coming back from Tommy John, you can struggle a little bit. That first year, it takes you a little bit to really regain that form. And if you remember his freshman year in 2018, he was the midweek starter for Arkansas and really pitched well and was setting himself up into a spot where he could maybe go and earn a weekend rotation spot last year on the 2019 team. But about halfway through the year, he started kind of struggling. He wasn't pitching as well. And come to find out, his arm was hurting him. They went and got it checked out. Sure enough, he needed Tommy John. That ended his 2019 season right then and there before he ever had a chance to compete for a starting job. So, it wouldn't surprise me to see him eventually start a game, especially, with the midweek games starting to come up, not this week, but the next week. I think he'll get a look. I think it wouldn't surprise me to see Cole Ramage. He threw 2 innings in relief on Sunday. Looked okay, gave up a hit, walked a guy, wasn't super efficient, but he didn't give up any runs. So he's a guy that could get a look. Kevin Kopps, he threw 1 inning to close out the Friday game that Arkansas won 5-1. Not a save situation, but he closed it out, got the last 3 outs without giving up any runs. So several kind of arms that you can expect to see. It'll be interesting to see how Dave Van Horn plays it this weekend. He was asked after Sunday's game what his rotation would look like for the Gonzaga series, which is actually 4 games. It begins on Thursday. He said that he's not quite sure yet, and I believe it. He's got to sit down with Matt Hobbs, the pitching coach, and come up with a plan for who's going to start when. My personal thinking is that Kevin Kopps, since he only threw 13 pitches in that 1 inning on Friday, he may get the nod on Thursday and just keep Connor Olin on Friday, Patrick Wicklander on Saturday, and then Blake Adams, I would give him another chance to start on Sunday. So that's my kind of guess, although it wouldn't surprise me. Another thing they could do is they could move Nolan and Wicklander up a day. Have Nolan pitch on Thursday, Wicklander pitch on Friday. That's not something you probably ideally have to do early in the season, but you're going to have to do it quite a bit during SEC play. So maybe you go ahead and get an early look at that. Then I would still leave Adams on Sunday just because he's a freshman. I don't want to have him pitching on 1 day less rest this early, in my opinion. And then you can maybe slot in Caleb Bolden on Saturday, give him the start. He'd have a full week rest by then as well if you didn't go with Kevin Kopps. So several options. It'll be interesting to see how Dave Van Horn decides to do it. We'll probably find out Tuesday when he meets with the media. Hopefully he'll have kind of an idea of what he's going to do. Another guy that we didn't see this past weekend against Eastern Illinois, another freshman. We saw Blake Adams. He got the start, obviously. We saw Peyton Pallette, the Benton native. He pitched an inning in relief, the final inning of Saturday's game, gave up a run. But the other freshman that I fully expect to have a role this year is Zach Morris. He's a lefty from Cabot. Looked really good the one time I saw him in the preseason scrimmages. I think he got 3 strikeouts looking against, I want to say it was maybe Heston Kjerstad, Christian Franklin, and Jacob Nesbitt. It was 3 starters, so it wasn't like it was a bench player that's not going to ever see the field this year. He struck out 3 dudes, and then I think he followed up in the second inning, struck out Braden Webb, another starter. So he looks pretty good. He's a lefty, gives him another lefty arm. Maybe he gets a look at starting on Thursday since he didn't pitch. But I've always thought he was going to be a guy that comes out of the bullpen for his first appearance. So we'll see how it looks. Gonzaga is a pretty good ball club. They beat Oregon State over the weekend 1 game. They lost to BYU. They also lost to Oregon State. They play again on Monday against New Mexico. I'm not quite sure how that game has ended up, but they played in a little tournament out in Arizona and they are traditionally a good ball club. They give Arkansas some trouble. I think they actually lead the all-time series against the Razorbacks. I want to say 5-3. I remember a game back in 2013 when they had Marco Gonzalez. For those of you who are Major League Baseball fans, broke into the bigs, I believe, with the Cardinals, and I think he's now with Seattle. And he had a really good outing against Arkansas back when Arkansas was a preseason #1 team in the country in 2013 with some loaded teams. So they are a good challenge for Arkansas. The 4 games makes it a little bit interesting to see how Arkansas is going to handle the pitching. But I like Arkansas's chances to take at least 3 of the games. That's what I predicted, a 3-1 week against Gonzaga. I just think Arkansas's lineup is too powerful. We'll see how it goes. But it should be another fun week at Baum-Walker Stadium. So I hope y'all have a chance to make it out and see Arkansas in person, because this is a fun team to watch. If you like home runs, you're going to see a lot of them. Hopefully the wind is not blowing in like it was this past weekend, because if it's ever just blowing out a little bit, Arkansas could leave the ballpark quite a bit. So it's going to be a fun team to watch this year. So I hope y'all stay in tune. I've got all my coverage at HawgBeat.com. We've got in-depth previews every week. We've got in-depth recaps of all the games, the important stuff you need to know. We've got game threads. If you're not able to watch the game or listen to the game, I'll be posting play-by-play on the Trough, our premium message board. So check us out. If you like Arkansas baseball, I feel like we do a pretty good job covering it. And if you want to just try us out, you can do so with promo code HAWGS30, HAWGS 30, and you get 30 free days. So I think it's a great time to try us out, get the first month of baseball season. If you like us, stick around, and we'd love to have you. So until next week, talk to you then.